welcome to the Nixon Public Library. Today we are going to learn to quill with Megan Seville. And then this is, thankfully, from Opal Mitchell right here. She's letting me take over for the day. I'm gonna slide back for her, social distancing.
Hello.
Here she is. She is currently being the camera woman. So I'm going to teach you how to make these easy and fun ornaments.
Awesome.
Super great, super easy to do. Quilling is one of those things that once you've learned how to do it, it's easy to kind of start creating your own crafts. For instance, the same little kind of designs in this, as you can see, these kind of pointed corners, the circle, just simple shapes. I was able to make a much larger piece with the same, essentially the same basic design, which was a snowflake. And then once you go on to that, you start learning other shapes. We've got mistletoe.
That's so cute.
A candle. A little angel. And then the piece de résistance, a Christmas tree, which actually did not take that much time.
It's so big.
I know, it's huge, and it like kind of jiggles. It's really cute in the light. And to hang your ornament, you can easily use thread you have at home, fishing twine, or just use an average hook. So, to get started,
We're going to switch over so she can show you, and we're going to get a little bit closer. So we're going to do a few adjustments
camera angles.
and try to get the tripod out of the angles of everything.
All right, so first things you're going to need to do is have some kind of surface. I recommend paper, cardboard, something just so you can kind of not glue yourself to the table. You're going to take your slotted tool right here. You have one included in your kit. Grab your glue. And then, first things first, we're going to start out with the actual petals. Well, actually, poinsettias don't have actual petals. They're just leaves. So, we're going to start with our red leaves. And poinsettias are fun because they can be dyed to other colors. So, if you're going for a more natural look, you can do this color of poinsettia, or you can do white, you can do purple, pink, kind of any color you want. So you're going to take your slotted tool.
I zoomed in a little bit for her.
Thank you, because I have no idea what's going on that side. You're going to take your slotted tool. You're going to slide it in the end of the paper. Now I'm left-handed, so you may have to do this differently if you're right-handed. And you're going to start turning it in a circle. And I like to take my thumb and pointer finger and kind of guide it, allowing it to kind of stay in one direction so it doesn't tornado out. And it's okay if it's not completely straight when you're twirling it, because you can easily kind of shuffle it back together. So we're going to be doing 7 of these. And I like quilling because it's one of those kind of quiet, easy crafts. It's peaceful. You can turn on the TV, watch a movie, and just make cute little ornaments or gifts or cards. Now once you take that off the slotted tool, you can gently kind of press it, get it all together.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take it and kind of let it expand. We're going to...
Oops, sorry. I'm trying to adjust it where we can...
You're totally fine, Opal. This is your show, honestly. I'm the guest star. I'm the weekly guest star. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of expand it. You're going to play with it for a minute. Going to have it like, I'd say about maybe a little bit bigger than this. Yeah.
I might even turn the light up a little brighter since it's not on your face.
Now,
That might
we're
help.
going to, yeah, because then you won't have to see how much of a ghost I am. Quarantine has not been great to my tan. All right, so we're going to take our glue applicator, which these are fantastic, and glue the last little end strip. Glue that.
So where are we sticking that?
We're going to stick it.
Just on the side?
Yep, just on the side. That way we make a perfect little circle. I recommend kind of holding it there for a second, kind of allowing your heat to kind of go into it. Don't drop your phone!
Yeah, this is like it fell.
Extreme close-up.
It fell forward as I was zooming in.
Extreme close-up.
So bring your hand forward this way. Oh! Just threw it.
Okay, so
Comedy ensues. Okay, I'll zoom back out. That's a little too close.
So there you go. This is about the same size that we want this to be. So.
And you just have one little side glued.
One little side.
And it's just one little spot. You did what, about a half an inch or a fourth of an inch
it would be
of
like
glue?
just a fourth an inch of glue. And I mean, you can do it longer, but I usually like to do it shorter because when you glue it, it tends to stick in that place. And like, see, if you look at this, when it bends, it kind of bends weird. So you want to be able to bend it so that way it's not too firm on that side because you want to be able to shape it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because you don't want to make it too hard to shape because that's the whole point. Well, we're going to do our second piece. And at first, you'll want to go kind of slow because you're going to want to get a feel of your tool to make sure that you're not going to tornado and spiral out. Let me tell you, I've done that many a times. But once you start getting at it, you can go faster.
Let's scoot over this way, get you a little more centered. I know the leg is in the way, but it's kind of hard to avoid.
It's one of those things. Alrighty, so pull that off, kind of poke it. And now it's always hardest to do the first one because you're like, I don't know what size. But once you do the second one, you can kind of shape it. Or if you have one of these, why I brought this is also an example. If you have one of these, you can easily go, okay, I want it to be, say, this size, or I can make it smaller and smaller and smaller and press it in.
Okay.
And then glue it.
Template.
Yeah.
Cool.
But we're going to make these a little bit bigger. That way they're really nice. Once you've had that first shape, it's easy to kind of go, okay, yeah, that's the same shape. Same size.
Looks like eyeballs.
It does. Weird eyeballs.
I'm trying to get your gluing there that you're doing.
See, same, about a fourth on there.
Just on the side there.
Yep. And then you will maybe get like a little bit of like the glue kind of curling up. But don't worry, we can glue on that side to make it like, it gets a little messy occasionally because glue is messy. And don't be afraid to get some of the leaves.
Move over this way a little bit.
To be
yeah, because the camera's on this side. Yeah.
A little bit off, like the sizes, because when you're doing it, it's not really going to look too crooked as long as you don't get the shapes too much off, because naturally poinsettias are going to be different shapes and sizes. Gives a little bit more natural look to it. So one thing to worry about is that when you're quilling, don't quill too fast because you can get a paper cut from these. I've actually done that before. I've been like, how could this tiny piece give me a paper cut? It does. All right, so we've got 2 down. We are making it, guys. So kind of stretch it out very gently. You don't want to tear anything. And then kind of shape it. All right, yeah, that's close.
To the same as the other ones, yeah.
Yep. Kind of eyeball it. And then we're going to take that little side.
Yeah, that's good. It's hard trying to fit it on camera when
I know.
you can't see what's on camera.
And then usually I like to take my applicator and kind of spread it out so it's not so thick.
Oh, so it won't gush out the sides.
Yeah. And that way you can just get a little bit and then carefully spread it out. And then take your finger. I like to gently kind of rub it so my heat kind of helps it to melt a little bit faster. And adhere. Now we got 3. I actually came upon quilling. I'm not really sure. It was just something that someone mentioned one day, and I was like, I'm going to look this up. And then quarantine happened, and I started playing with it, and I realized I really loved it. And it's so simple to make crafts and things, and you can even cut your own paper at home. There's like DIYs. It's a cheap and simple way to make a beautiful card. I recently made a gift for my parents for their anniversary. I had designed S for their last name for their wall with just simple curly cues like this. I was able to make them this really pretty piece of art to put on their wall. So we look at our shapes again. We're like, okay, this boy is about that size. You hold him because they will jiggle out of your hands and they will bounce and roll. All right, we got a little bit on our applicator. Just gently spread it. need a little extra, you can. Always remember to leave your top or anything on your applicator, or you'll have to be like me and take a little needle or pin to try to clear it, because it gets gunked up in there sometimes. There we go, we've got 4. And the green leaves are actually going to be super similar to this. Same thing.
Shay's watching.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
Feel special.
Hey, Shay.
Hey, Shay. Alrighty. This is really easy. And in a second, I'll show you, you don't even have to do this exact design. This is one design that I've kind of done. I have other designs, which with the colors, you can actually change it and easily make flowers for like Mother's Day or a birthday or something.
She said, hey.
Hey. Alrighty, so let's look at our shapes. You can spread it out. If you want to make it kind of double like that, you can. You can make it kind of triple, single. It's really up to you. Your flower is meant to be yours and special.
You said you're going to be doing 6 of these?
7 petals.
Oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah, I tried doing 6 one time and it looked like a weird flower and it looked terrible. Usually when it flowers, you want to do like odd number, because most flowers are usually in some kind of odd number. All right.
That makes sense. Whenever I was learning about trimming up my crepe myrtle, they said that if it died back and you had to let the little shoots come up for it to regrow or whatever,
Yeah.
to cut away until you had an odd number, to only have an odd number, and it looked better. I'm like, yeah, it does.
Exactly.
That's so interesting.
And then we've got 2 strips left. And it's like there are different types of quilling tools. You can even make your own at home with like a skewer and like carefully with like an X-Acto knife or a regular knife, kind of chip away at the center. It creates kind of a bigger gap. Like right here, you see that it's a thinner gap, which works better for quilling, but depending on your paper strips, like your width, because we have thinner widths, we have kind of thicker, we have bigger pieces. This sliding tool fits perfectly for this one, but if you have bigger hunks, say you want to make your own at home, it's really simple. Recently we were practicing for kids quilling. I was able to make homemade tools myself and children. Really simple. Was able to make a cute little hedgehog I'll have to show one day. But quilling is one of those things that you don't have to buy the expensive tools. You can just buy a quilling tool, some cheap paper, cut your own, and you're done. And this glue, just Elmer's paper glue. Really cheap and easy. And this works better. Don't use like super heavy glues because it will weigh it down. This is always fun. It makes that fun part of your brain go, ha, it jiggly. So you can kind of curly cue it out. And you start noticing that you match the shapes easier because your brain kind of gets that pattern. And then kind of bend that back so we can see it. Little bit of glue. Spread it out. I like to try to make sure it gets to the end. That way it sticks. Because if this end doesn't stick as well, that's fine. But we prefer to have it flush at the end because you don't want it poking up when you have your flower, because that's frustrating. Alright, cool beans.
One more, huh?
Yep, only one more of this. And then we've got the center rings and the green.
Really, that almost got underneath there.
Alright. And then we'll shape these and put the flowers together. Alrighty. And there's a ton of different quilling tools out there you can get. I went and purchased some, started practicing with some. They're for the more like advanced quiller, because I'm not advanced. And let me tell you, I'm struggling with some of these tools. I'm like, how do I use a husking board? Still learning. But that's the fun thing about crafts, is that you get to learn. I'm a lover of learning, so is most everyone who works here at this library. Especially Miss Opal. I've been trying to harass her to learn more about quilling, but she's like, I've got so many crafts. I'm going to get her one of these days. One of these days, there's just going to be a bunch of quilling tools on her desk, and I'm going to be like, I don't know how I got there. I have no idea. And then if you see some of your edges start to come up, press down, and then if they, like this one, I just noticed is coming up, you can just give a little bit of glue, kind of let it sink under the edge there, then press it some more. You can yell at it. I've yelled at paper before. I'm not crazy. I just, really frustrating that it doesn't listen. All right, so this one, we're going to shape this one, and then we can set these to the side, because then we can go over the whole, how do we press them and stuff like that in a second.
Shay said, I'm still learning crafting.
Hey, you know what? We always learn, and learning is fantastic, because even if you think, oh, I'm not very good at this, the fact is you tried something new, and that's what counts, even if it doesn't turn out perfect. I've learned that. All right, now we glue. You don't want to get too much, because then it sticks out, and then you can get like little pieces of it drying, and it turns like this weird gray-brown color, and I hate it. And it goes everywhere.
Oh, so it didn't necessarily dry clear all the time?
No. Sometimes, well, it kind of like dries sometimes a little gray because of the fabric. The paper. Yeah.
Oh.
Like
Okay.
the coating and the types. And like you can get metallic papers, you can get kind of patterned papers. I'll set these boys to the side. Now, because we're in the same kind of way, we're going to do the leaves, and then I'll show you how to do the little center buds, the little, what would you call
they're
those?
essentially kind of what the petals are, but
Yeah.
much tighter, huh?
Much tighter. And that's the thing, they start out the same, and it's just smaller, tighter, and you can either do your petals a little bit larger, or you can do them smaller. I'm going to do them about the same size as these petals, because they're essentially the same thing. Oh, also, quick tip, if you have cats, do not get poinsettias, because they are in fact poisonous to cats.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So protect your pets, make paper poinsettias. Alright, we're going to take this shape to kind of give us a basic idea. Curly cue it out.
About the same size as the leaves?
Yeah, I would say.
Well, I mean petals, but
Yeah.
actually...
No, you were right. So you're right.
They're leaves.
They
and-
are leaves, scientifically. I looked that up. But here you go. I would
Just
say,
different colors.
yep. And that's what's interesting, because you're like, this is the same thing.
I think the bougainvillea, it's a plant, and it's more kind of tropical. It grows more like in California and places like that. I think the flowers on it might actually technically be leaves too, because they got pink ones and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I think. I'll have to...
It's really fascinating.
I think it is. I'm not for sure.
We need to have a class on just about flowers and plants. We'll be turning into a high school or college by then, essentially. Teach you everything you need to know how to quill and tell plants apart. Alrighty.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
Mr. Dan, he did.
He did do some stuff on what is poisonous, or what plants you could eat, I think.
So yeah, if you want to mention that real quick while I finish gluing this one.
Mention that he...
Yeah, mention like
What
where
time?
to look for Mr. Dan.
Okay, he was earlier today. It's always on Fridays. I'm trying to remember what time. Oh, it was earlier. Was it 2?
I think so.
Around 2 o'clock that they do that. It's for a teen program that usually Mr. Dan does some kind of informative type something, and
Really great.
Or does the PSA puppets also do stuff during
Yes,
that time
they do.
period?
Around that time period. So, if you and your kiddos want to learn about how to be safe and survive in this crazy jungle of a world, go to Mr. Dan and his puppet friends. Alright, we're going to glue this last one.
You'll be informed and entertained.
Yes, very much. You can hear us cackling all the way to the front. Sometimes when we're watching Mr. Dan's videos, he is fantastic. Now, we've got those to the side. I'm going to show you how to do these. Now, these are a little different. You can either use scissors, or I usually like to tear them because they're super simple. I take these.
Take one strip. Maybe I need to zoom out.
You're going to take one strip at first, you're going to need
Ooh, I
3
zoomed in.
pieces.
Okay. All right, there. That's
You're gonna-
better. We can see.
You're going
So
to need
you're
3 pieces. You're going to see how they're kind of close together. See?
Oh, it's 3 of them right there, or
We're going to make 3 pieces.
Okay, so you're folding 1 in half.
1 in half.
Okay.
And then we're going to take the end once we folded it, and then we're going to carefully tear it.
Okay.
It's smaller. That way
So
we're
you
not.
can have 2 pieces. Okay.
And then you have a smaller piece. That way it's not overpowering the flower, because they're really kind of small in real life. And as you can see, I'm going to show you this one that I did a while back. It was my first one. You can make a larger one, but like aesthetically and like this one is a little bit
With the
classy.
3
Yeah.
on the center, yeah.
3 on the center versus
The big one.
1 in the center with these ringed around it. So you have that option as well if you wanted to just do a whole strip, or even a strip and a half. That could fit that. But for this, tear that, and then now we'll have 3 evenly sized pieces.
Shorter ones. Okay.
Yep, shorter. That way it's a lot easier. Now for this, I'm going to teach you kind of a trick how to make it look a little bit nicer. Because the torn end, you're going to take that and press that into the slot.
Instead of the one that wasn't torn. Okay.
Yeah, and that way it's a cleaner look.
Edge to it, so when you glue the edge, it won't be torn.
Exactly. And that way it looks a little bit classier. We're trying to get classy up in here. All right, now we're going to take that off. And this isn't like that. We're not going to let these spread out. We're going to let them get a little bit big, but not spread out like they were. And then we're going to take that, hold it tight. They will try to jump out of your hand. And then we're going to glue it. Kind of go around it. I'm going to hold it for a second just to kind of let it dry and also kind of give it that pressure. Careful not to press too hard, because then it could shape it. And then you've got a weird design. That's actually how I did these little guys. I made these, and I'll show you later about how to decorate your quilling creations, because I have a quick little segment on how to do that, because it's really fun, really easy, and you probably have a lot of this stuff at home right now. Or you can ransack your kids' crafting, section. All right, I'm gonna twirl this. I'm gonna kind of pop it together sometimes. And see, when it does this, you can easily put it back on the sliding tool, or you can carefully kind of
Tighten it back up.
Yep, tighten it back up. If it's a really long piece, you might want to use the slotting tool just because it's faster. But if it's kind of a shorter piece like this, you can easily start to twirl it back together. Because, like I said, it wants to come apart. It wants to bounce around, but we're forcing it not to. Now, we're going to glue this. Spread it. It's not too wet. Hold it for a second. And if these don't want to go that well, it's okay, because we're going to glue them together. So if they kind of stick out a little bit,
Stick them in the middle where it won't show.
yep, stick them in the middle. It's a lot easier. And that way it kind of gives a nice finished edge. So, I'm going to twirl this. And these 2 shapes are kind of the basic, iconic quilling shapes. The kind of triangle point and just the classic circle. These are the ones that you do a lot of work with. So, you can,
Yeah, almost all the examples you gave were all pretty much done that way, except for the angel.
and the holly was,
Holly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, honestly, kind of fun, because you can just take these 2 simple shapes and make several designs, like the snowflakes. It takes a little time to do all the multiples, but putting it together is a breeze, because you're doing this essentially, but doing it on a little bit bigger scale. Like these, I actually used 2 strips for these, so made those bigger. Made these a little bit smaller, like these, and then these are just regular, like this. So it's easy to glue the strips together. Let me show you how, because we'll take it off immediately. But when you're gluing the strip together, you're going to do this. You're going to glue the end like that, And you can put that on, press it to it, and then you can quill with it. Super easy. And then it's like quilling multiple strips, making it kind of like one long strip. Super easy. And that way you can actually do 3 or 4. It would be like a huge like round ball of paper, but like it can be done. It can be done. Sorry, needed water. All right, now we're gonna start
Putting it together?
Yep. Well, first we gotta point these. Now, when you're doing these, I like to try to find kind of where it goes together, like right there.
Where you glued it?
Yeah, and I try to kind of make that to the side because it's a little bit harder to get it at the end because sometimes it will try to poke out. And then you're gonna take both ends.
So you're keeping that part in the middle area?
I usually do, kind of,
Okay.
because design-wise it kind of looks cute and kind of adds like a whiter bit of color. Now see, that one's right there, so we're going to take that. See how it gets a little hard? It's better to have it to the side because if you do it at the end, it looks a little funky. Alright, just kind of a little firm press, and you can kind of bounce it back to give it a little bit more space.
And when you're pinching it there, are you just doing one single piece that's getting pinched, or is
It can be one piece or it can be kind of this two
a
piece.
couple of two? Okay,
Yeah.
a couple of them.
And sometimes, I mean, you can even pinch, if you have it like size-wise, you can kind of pinch the whole thing like this.
To give everything a pointy look?
Yeah, like that. See? Super simple. And then everything gets pointed. You just kind of start from the middle and go out. And then we're going to find the end right here. And we can, like I said, I recommend putting that at the side. So much easier. And then also, when you're gluing it, let me show as an example, you can take that little end piece and put it there so that it doesn't show.
Oh, where you glue them together?
Yeah, and it makes it look even more kind of like put together. All right, and then we'll take
Ooh,
these.
I tried to zoom and I really zoomed.
It's like I'm gonna go to the paper on a microscopic level. All right, and then you can see how cute that looks, that little curve. And that's just the basic part of this, is just you're gonna be making pointy things. Now that you've said that, I remembered how fun that is. Making everything pointy. And then if you need to, really trying to kind of make sure that they all are pointed kind of the same. So you may need to pinch it a little bit or kind of play with it to get it into that shape. They're fickle. They don't want to do anything, but you've got to make them.
And the one
And
that
they bounce out of your hands.
And the one that's still really, really tight, how do you get that to kind of loosen back up again more like
Which
the
one?
other one? That one over there is a little bit different from the rest of them.
This one, yeah.
It's kind of tiny. Can you make it go bigger like the
You
other
can,
ones?
because you can kind of spread this out if you wanted to in the center. And kind of... And then,
Pinch it again?
yeah, pinch it and then kind of keep going out. And you can actually take it and very gently kind of like coil it out and see. Just popped out. But yeah, see, it's a little bit wider now. And then you pinch it and then see it's not as in the center. And you can kind of spread it more. It's a difficult job. It's very fickle. There we go. There we go. There. Better? It's not easy. Paper is not fun sometimes. But in cases like this, it's very fun. But yeah. Then we'll spread out the outer leaves. I like for these, I try to pinch a little bit on one side, a tiny bit more, make it a little bit thinner. That way it's easier to kind of place into the little corners for the poinsettia. Alright, pinch this boy right here. Now, putting it together is a little intimidating, it seems like.
So many pieces.
So many pieces, and you got to try to angle them and get them to go together. I recommend kind of starting out, kind of play with your shape, decide where it needs to go, how far the petals need to go out.
I might even zoom in.
And then one thing to remember is that you're going to have the centerpiece covered up with your little round,
Pieces.
balls. Yeah. These guys will be rounded. Now, we're going to carefully take this out, and then we're going to brush it with both sides, kind of gently spreading it out.
That's almost maybe about an inch
Yeah.
worth of glue.
Yeah, about an inch of glue, because you want to be able to press the sides. I like to spread it out. Now this is going to be our kind of a base piece. Now this allows these two to squish against it. And you can kind of like carefully, before it dries, kind of do that. Get them together, and then go on and do the next one, about that inch. Kind of make it thin, because you don't want it to get too goopy and get it kind of too wet, because if it's too wet, it will start to crumble sometimes, depending on the quality of the paper. And then if you see them starting to get a little too round, you can pinch them back into place. Now we're going to get the next one.
Are you going to stick it on there, or are you doing each side, or how?
Each
Because
side.
that one's still got glue on it. I didn't know how quick.
Oh, I was going to do the other side
Okay.
for the each one.
It's like, how
There.
fast is it? Does it not glue too fast, or?
It can glue pretty fast, depending, like, see, it's already starting to stick. And sometimes you want to get it to that side before it starts to try to get away from you. And now here is this last piece.
And that one you just put glue on both sides of it, huh? Or
Well, I put glue on that one side, and then I can do this side. And then we're gonna, this one still needs some, so we're gonna put it on this side. There we are. Looks that one's glued. And now we're gonna play the game of squishing them together. You can kind of like press them.
pinching them.
Yeah, and just like trying to get them into a basic shape, a basic form.
I guess it didn't have to be perfect, since you're going to be putting the yellow ones in the
Yep.
center. It'll kind of cover it up if they're
As you
not
can
all
see.
lined up perfectly. Aha! Yeah.
Now these guys, we're gonna try to glue them together first.
Oh yeah.
That way, we'll glue the ends, as you can see. That way, they're even firmer. Don't be afraid to get a little glue on your hands, because it will come off. And as you can see, it dries really fast. And once they start to kind of come together, squish them. And I like to try to do it all around the little ring. That way, this one you kind of want to get really wet. That way, wherever it presses, it's going to press against the corners. Now, press these corners together, kind of keep them together. Press them down at the same time. Kind of try to balance, put them in these little areas that are pressed together. And that way, they have a place to kind of set together, balance. As you can see. Now, time for our outer leaves. For these, you're going to want to pick like a side like this, where you can see the kind of corners. You want to do them on separate sides. So one there and one there. Now, for this, you'll see where the edge is. Give it a cleaner edge. Do about 1 inch like before. Maybe even a little bit less, 3/4 of an inch. And that way you can really press that corner in, make sure it's getting that glue. Right.
I may want to move all of it forward a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit to be on camera more.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Okay, there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, where's the camera at? You get in the paper zone. All right. Where's our edge? Sometimes they seem so...
I think it's on the other side.
Yes, it blends so seamlessly sometimes that you're kind of like, where? Which is good. Oh, and if your glue starts to do this, it gets stringy because it starts to dry, just pull it off. Yeah, it's really easy. And it will do that sometimes, like now. It will start to dry a little bit. It's really easy because you can kind of roll your finger with the heat. It comes right off. Spread it out.
Did you get it on both sides? Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you. My brain was like focused on getting those little glue bits off. Thank you. This is why Opal is here. She's the master, okay?
Well, I'm here to ask questions too. Hopefully, since
Yeah.
if they did make comments, I could read their comments too if they were asking questions.
Alrighty.
So if anyone did have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I'll relate them to her, and hopefully we can get an answer for you if you have any questions.
And now while our poinsettia dries for a minute, we're gonna quickly talk about how to add a little bit of a fun element to your quilling. Alright, so with us today, we have some simple markers. You can get paint if you wanted, but something kind of,
I always zoom in instead of out. Okay, there we go. I zoomed out.
for now I have these little basic pieces I always keep extra paper just for kind of things like this. These are going to be our little templates. We have different little designs, little beads and pearls and rhinestones. And we have glitter. Shay, you cannot kill me. I just want to show them how to do this. You're going to be like, there's glitter in my room. All right, first things first, I'm going to teach you how to make your edges look pretty. Take your cap off, take your little
And that's
piece
just
of
a
paper.
that's like a metallic marker,
It's
right?
a metallic Sharpie.
Yeah, sure.
It's just-
Permanent marker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can do like any type of marker you have. Like if you have an artist marker,
Ooh, gel pens.
gel pens could work as well. Because you're just wanting kind of a light edge. Now taking this flat side, because you want to do it flat, because you don't want to really get in there. The flat side, gently start going over, kind of in this sweeping motion
Just on the top edges.
on the top edges. Just like that. And if you notice, you start to get a little glint of gold on the edge.
Make it kind of sparkly. Here, let me have you hold it up again, and I'll zoom.
Yes.
Or I can't really see it. It's hard to see on
Make it
camera.
a little bit darker. I know, it's hard to see it on the camera. With the light, let me try to see if I can make it a little bit
I
darker.
could try changing the lighting. Let's see.
It's okay if you can't. Exactly.
Let's see. We can.
Is that better?
Yeah. There we go. You can kind of see it a little bit.
Okay.
It's a little blurry, but you can see it.
It's just a light glint. And then silver has the same effect on this one. It's really nice to put like with warmer colors, putting the silver edge, and then with like cooler colors with the more gold edge. And then if you get a little bit on the edge, it's fine. Because usually wherever
You're
glue,
looking at the top of them anyway, so.
yeah. And especially when you're also gluing, it's fine. That one, see, gives like more of a silver glint.
On top, yeah.
Very metallic. Now, this is actually something Opal came up with when I fell in love with it. Okay, you take your applicator because it's got the smaller tip. You see right here. You go to your little inner swirl right there. You carefully take your applicator, make kind of a drop, get a little bit bigger, place that drop right there, and you pull up before it spreads.
Tiny, tiny drop of glue.
Yeah, and then if you want to make it a little bit bigger, if it's not as round as you like, or if you don't like it flat, you can add a little bit here and there to make it a little bit rounder.
Taller.
Yeah, taller, rounder, and then make sure there's no bubbles because there can be bubbles on this.
We should have brought paper in here.
I know. I was thinking that. I can use my box over there.
Oh, okay. So the glitter won't go everywhere?
Yeah, and I won't get attacked by our cleaners. All right, so you take the little spot, you get some of your glitter glue. I recommend extra fine glitter.
Just sprinkle it on top.
Yeah, just sprinkle it on top. And then,
Tap it to...
yeah, tap it gently, shake it, and then you have just a little bit of sparkle there.
Let's see. Bring that. Yeah, there we go. We can see it. Almost looks like a rhinestone.
It does. It's just a little bit of glue, and it will glue and dry hard. So then you don't have to worry about it like mushing and stuff. It's just this delicate little piece of glitter. Now, our next one are the rhinestones. And as you can see, there's different shapes.
Probably
and sizes.
less messy.
Less messy option, but less messy. But we have
And I bet you can find those. I've seen those in Hobby Lobby and Michael's. This time of the year, go like crazy because the people are doing all kinds of
you
decorations.
can even find them at Dollar Tree and Walmart.
Oh,
I've seen them there as well. So for this, take this for instance. You can use a pearl. You can gently take it off. If you have tweezers, sometimes it's helpful to get some of the smaller ones. But I recommend
using a little bit of glue, even
a
though
little
it's
bit of glue.
sticky.
Yeah, and that way you make sure it really sticks. You can kind of stick it on your finger. Gently.
Or you could always put the glue on the paper first, too.
Yeah. It's your choice. And then see.
Ah.
It just adds a little cute element. And like you
Yes.
see, like with this one, I added glitter. I just
On the
spread it
heart,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, to add a little shimmer. And then I added a pearl on the angel's face. And then for this, for my tree, I ended up adding little rhinestones to kind of glint like actual Christmas ornaments would. So, let me set
That's
these to
awesome.
the side. Let's see if our poinsettia is dry yet. It will take a few seconds. And there we go.
It's all... Move that out of the way and lay it on the table. It'll really show up. Here, and I'll zoom
There
in.
you go. Christmas poinsettia.
Yay.
And then if you're worried about the shape or anything, you can easily kind of twist it, twirl it, pinch it, any way you want. And then what I like to do is take a corner like this, and I usually put a hook, or I put a little bit of fishing line or a little bit of twine, anything.
Thread.
Thread.
Yeah.
And then
So you can
just
hang it.
Hang it. And it gives this little delicate paper ornament.
And if you followed us along today and you made some of these, if you don't mind, if you could take pictures and send them, you can send them to me. Some of you have my phone number and you can text them to me, or you can always contact me and get my email address and email them to me. And we would be really thrilled to put it on our Facebook page, because we've got, I could start or I could put it on the Crafting with Opal one, but or I could start a First Friday Crafts album to put them in, because we like to share on our Facebook page the crafts that people do and follow along with us. So, and we love to see people's stuff. We want to see how it turns out. It's just so much fun to see.
The designs, and everyone's got different ones, and it's fun to see everyone's like taste, and like if you decide to do any of like the extra little glitters or the sequins or whatever, like show us that, because like if you have any tips or tricks as well, like we're always
share. We'll be happy to. And then next Thursday, the Crafting with Opal program, I talked about last night during my other program, we'll be doing a paint along, where you'll get to paint a snowman. So if you would like to sign up for supplies for that one, you can start calling today to sign up for supplies for that class. So just call our main library number, the 501-457-5038, and ask to sign up for it, and you'll be able to pick up your supplies, I think, by Thursday at least. So please let us know by closing Tuesday whether or not you want supplies for that, so we can make sure we have them ready for you to pick up. All right.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for following along, and we'll see you maybe next week, and hopefully we'll have another First Friday Crafts next month. It depends on what they decide to let us do, because they're going to kind of I think, do something different with our programming. So we're not real sure. Maybe we'll get to do it. If not, it might be just crafting with opals. So thanks, guys. See y'all later.